Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6 Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, I'm going to be talking about an interesting speaker mic accessory that might be of interest to people that are using one of these Baofeng type radios. What I'm specifically talking about are the Baofeng IP67 radios such as the GT3WP, the UV9R, the UV9 Golf, or the UV9R Pro. And there's a couple of others that Baofeng put out that feature the same speaker mic connection on the side of the radio that is IP67. Now, what I'm talking about here is typically what a lot of folks are used to dealing with if they're familiar with the UV5R, the BFF8HP, or the UV82, or any of the other, or a lot of the other Chinese import radios, is that they feature what's called a K-1 type plug connection, which is a combination of a 2.5 and 3.5 millimeter plug opening. And they're usually covered by a quick access hatch, and from there you have a K-1 type plug on a speaker mic that will readily plug into those two holes, and you're good to go, and your speaker mic is working, or should be working at that point. But with the IP67 type radios, because those two openings, that I showed earlier, present a problem if you submerge the radio in water. Water can still get into the radio through those openings. What IP67 radios, such as these, often feature is a different kind of arrangement for your speaker mic connection. And rather than have two openings that you stick plugs into the radio with, instead what you have is a contact board on the side of the radio. So this is still a weatherproof connection, and what you would do at that point is your speaker mic connection will bolt to the side of the radio, and it will feature pins that will make contact with those contacts on the side of the radio, and that's where you achieve your connection. So everything stays nice and waterproof, and with the speaker mic attached to the radio, it still stays IP67. The problem, though, is that for that earlier K-1 type plug connection that I mentioned, there are a ton of speaker mics out there. You can find a pretty wide variety. In fact, just recently, my last video, in fact, was yet another speaker mic review for a K-1 type speaker mic. But when it comes to the IP67 speaker mics for the Baofeng radios, the pickings are pretty thin. In fact, the only speaker mic I have found that reliably works with these radios is the Baofeng factory speaker mic, which is garbage. It has no weather protection, it produces very poor audio quality on send and receive, and it's fragile, and they have a pretty nasty tendency of just breaking altogether. And they do that without a heck of a lot of encouragement, so they're not ideal. So that presented me with a bit of a problem. Now, I had some people tell me, well, Motorola has the same connection, use a Motorola mic. Well, it's the same connection, the pinout is different. The same applies for Retevis. I have a number of Retevis radios that feature the IP67 connection. I used Retevis IP67 speaker mics on these radios. They don't work. And the reason, again, for that is fairly simple. The pins, and just on a visual examination, I sort of wish I had pulled one of the Retevis mics out now, but the pins on those are different. The Retevis, for instance, only has 3 pins that are even visible on this, whereas this has 6 pins, and it's a totally different layout. So it's not making the proper connection. Now, I could probably try to rewire a speaker mic, but that's sort of a trial and error thing that I haven't really had the time to get around to doing, so I was looking for a more simple solution. So when I exhausted my ability to find a decent speaker mic for these radios, I found something else that was actually kind of clever. So let me move these aside here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. What I found was this interesting little adapter. I found it on Amazon, and there will be a link in the description. But what this is this is your IP67 speaker mic connection, and it is wired into a K-1 plug so that you can attach this adapter to the side of the radio and then plug in the speaker mic of your choice that features a K-1 type connection. So let me show you one that's already on the radio. I have this UV9 Golf that I've already attached this to the radio with. It attaches to the side with a screw. Everything stays IP67 rated, and of course from there I have this plug set. And from there, I can plug in the speaker mic of my choice. In this case, we're going to be talking about the Calm Mountain, which is one of my favorite K-1 type speaker mics. And all you simply do is plug it in and you are good to go. Works just fine. I bought a bunch of these. I think altogether I have 10 of them. I have a lot of these types of radios laying around because this is my preferred pass-out radio. If I had to give radios to family members or other people that I needed to keep in contact with in an emergency, I have a whole bunch of UV9 Golfs ready to go that I can hand out. And if they're licensed GMRS people, of course, they can use GMRS. If not, we have FRS frequencies we can use on there, or we can do edgy stuff beyond that I won't talk about. But the long story short is, with this little connector, I can put a very suitable speaker mic on this radio, which is IP54 rated, so it's going to be good in the rain. I can put it on an IP67 radio, and everything is fine. Now, one thing I will tell you is if you're going to do this, I would consider this a semi-permanent installation because especially if you're keeping this radio in a readiness package, I would take the precaution of really wrapping the hell out of this. In fact, I sort of wish it had gone in an inline type arrangement because then I could have heat shrunk it, but I wouldn't be totally opposed to maybe putting silicone on the connection and then covering that over the top with electrical tape so that you have a waterproof connection, because you still have little water here. Now, is that going to be a problem? Who knows? But I would prefer to have that covered up. But it's a simple matter. And to be honest with you, a roll of electrical tape can solve the problem for you in about 2.5 minutes pretty efficiently. And then that'll keep that connection nice and watertight, or at least resist rain. But like I said, this allows you then to put a suitable speaker mic on an otherwise pretty good radio without too much trouble. And the cost isn't that much. Again, there'll be a link in the description, but it's fairly cost-effective solution for you. So just thought I'd throw that out there real quick. I know a lot of people like these radios, but speaker mics have been sort of problematic, so this might be a solution you might want to look into. So with that, I'll bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee from Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.